now decided that the sale, the dispensing, and the distribution of alcohol will be suspended with immediate effect.
Ooh, what are we going to do now?
Social interaction is one of those things that centers our university experience, much of which is, or rather was, socialized through alcohol. Whether it was kicking it back and drinking a beer with your mates on the weekend, or going on a casual bar hop in Melville after class. These are the memories that shaped our youth. So what happens when you're told to stay 2 meters away from your loved ones, or that those bars that you watch your Sunday football games at were closing indefinitely? Welcome to Associating with Alcohol, an episode of the We Should Be Writing podcast. In this episode, we'll be discussing the ripple effect of how our social interactions were shifted without that one uniting factor, alcohol. We will be sharing our personal experiences with alcohol and talking about how we think alcohol plays a role in crime in our society. Alcohol is a central part of my social interactions. I've come to be comfortable with its appearance at every event and gathering I've ever attended. It's not that there's a dependency there, but the presence of alcohol at these places is more about being able to celebrate the moment and contribute to the joy of being together. I would consider myself a social drinker. In the past, my weekends would usually be made up of bar crawls with my friends or Sunday lunch with my family, shared over a glass of champagne. My dad rarely enjoys wine, so he introduced my love for it too. It was always an opportunity for us to bond, as he taught me about wine and food pairing or the richness of these flavors. I wasn't scared that these kind of moments would be lost, but I was thinking about the memories that I could have created this year that were interrupted. Coincidentally, in March, when lockdown level 5 commenced and the alcohol ban was put in place, I had actually given up alcohol for Lent. I was still able to see my friends and family, and we learned to adapt to these circumstances, but we missed out on the special events like my 21st and celebrating my graduation. Being sober because of my own decision to temporarily give up on alcohol and drinking, as opposed to being forced by the law, opened up my eyes to see how many people relied on alcohol to foster and maintain basic interactions. So I was interested from a journalism perspective to understand the outrage around the alcohol ban and the extent people went to get themselves some stock on the black market that arose during those times. It was entertaining to see people experiment with flavors and trade recipes to try and recreate their favorite ciders. However, my concern came with the health factor related to it. Hearing people die of alcohol poisoning or seeing people genuinely forgetting their actions because they experienced a blackout. I thought the alcohol ban was good because it could initiate some time for people to be reflective of all the good and the bad related to alcohol. And I can only hope that people choose to be more responsible in the future. The biggest thing my mom always stressed to me when I'd go out was not to drive under the influence of alcohol. Not only because I'm putting my life in danger, but also any innocent bystander who may be affected by my negligence.
Hi, my name is Emma, and I think my favorite hobby is wine. Starting at a new university for my last year of studying was equal parts nerve-wracking and exciting. This year marked my first year living back in Joburg full-time from Pretoria, which meant leaving behind my old friends, but making space for a bunch of new people in my life. As an extremely anxious person, change is definitely not my strong suit. But if I really did want to pursue a career in journalism, I knew that this is my first step that I needed to take in order to get there. I had a total of 2 months on my new campus before lockdown. Getting caught up in the hustle and bustle of a new university, I don't know when and I don't know how, but I missed out on the opportunity to make new friends. I don't know which bar in the area people go to after class. I don't know where to go to on campus to get the best food and a sneaky drink with friends in between class. And I don't know which bottle store stays open the latest to buy alcohol from before a long night of work ahead or for pre-drinks before a night out. Most importantly, I don't even know if this is a part of the Wits culture like I knew it to be in Pretoria. The ban on alcohol was so much more than just a limitation on drinking. For me, the ban on alcohol represents so many missed opportunities that I didn't get to experience being a student in my last year of studying. This is the last year that I could have possibly used the excuse of being a stupid, broke student to get away with otherwise questionable behavior. The last year I could blame missing a deadline on a bender with my friends the night before. The last year I could make memories that would in my later years be a part of those were the days stories. I'm now nearing the end of my Wits career without even fully knowing the university I was at or the possible friendships that I could have made.
So my name is Zikhona, and to be honest with you, I've always felt left out in these kind of conversations around alcohol, especially during the ban because I do not drink. And I've always get the question like, why though? Because you're young. I've always had to say this. It's not because of some bad experience of mixing different vodkas or something when I was growing, but rather a conscious decision I took. There are many reasons, and amongst those, it has to be hangovers. Having that terrible headache the following day or dehydration have to be the worst feeling ever after drinking. And because I've always had health complications, so adding alcohol on top of that just made it all worse. Lastly, and probably most importantly, I just turned into a different character after a drink or two. Well, to some people, alcohol is just an escape, while to some it's just for fun. But I believe that a simple glass of wine after a long day feels like heaven. We can't deny the fact that with alcohol, it's probably where there's laughter. However, to some extent, those celebrations can turn into misery within a blink of an eye. And yes, that's the reality of our society. We have seen how quickly many incidences, and this can be your drinking or driving or your domestic abuse by consumers, all of those things have shown the negative effects of alcohol. We have also witnessed the thirst of many South Africans when there was a burn, leading to many black market sellers popping up, legal actions, and lots of controversy for the second burn. And this other time, I was having this conversation with my uncle, who doesn't let a day go by without his favorite beer. And I asked him, when you die, what are your wishes? He simply looked at me, he took his beer, he gulped the last remainings, and he said, can you please load at least a crate of few beers into my casket? And we just burst into laughter. That is then I realized that you can't separate the love and relationship people have for the things that makes them happy. And alcohol has to be one of those. It does play an important role in the South African culture. We have seen this in sports, clubs, ceremonies, rituals, you name them. People always feel satisfied if there's something that can simply make them feel happy. And that's where the importance of alcohol comes in.
What's up? My name is Dylan, and I wouldn't call myself a drinker. I mean, I do drink, but not that much. In high school, matric days, most of my friends drank often, but I've always wanted to be different. I always wanted to stick out. I just didn't want to do what everyone else was doing, and drinking was very popular amongst my friends. The lack of interest in drinking from my side turned me into the dad of the group. A typical night out for me meant making sure everyone is well taken care of and made it home safe. I mean, in a way, I enjoyed being the sober one because it meant I had things under control. And that isn't a dig at people who enjoy getting drunk, but I feel like I need to be in control, and staying sober gives me that, The adaptation to online learning, as well as the pressure of trying to finish an honors degree, meant I thought about alcohol a lot more than I usually do. But overall, it didn't affect me that much. I know many people who are affected more negatively just because that glass of wine at the end of the day is comforting. A beer with the mates on a Saturday turns a bad week into a good one. I do not think alcohol in itself makes a difference, more so what alcohol does, and that's bring people together. Gender-based violence is a major issue all around the world, but in South Africa in particular, it's really bad. I think alcohol plays a major part in our high rates of GBV-related crimes. I wouldn't say alcohol is the main cause behind it, but it definitely contributes to the continuous and growing violence against women. South Africa have a love-hate relationship with alcohol, but personally, the negatives outweigh the positives. The restriction of alcohol during lockdown meant that hospitals were able to run at an efficient pace and help fight against GBV. In 2016, South Africa ranked 50th out of 195 countries by the World Health Organization in terms of binge drinking. In those statistics, men averaged 16.2 litres and women only averaged around 2 litres, which is a mind-blowing difference to me. And that obviously shows that men are much heavier drinkers in our country. In terms of GBV, men are the main perpetrators, with surges of GBV crimes reported during lockdown. It is an issue I feel gets ignored in South Africa and needs to be highly prioritized, just based off the fact that females are victims of these crimes every 3 hours, which is mind-blowing to me how this can have gone on for so long, unheard and unchanged.
You've heard our stories about the effects of alcohol in our own lives and in the society. Stay safe and please drink responsibly. I'm your host, Zinhle Belle, and you've been listening to Associating with Alcohol, an episode in the 4-part series on living during a pandemic on the We Should Be Writing podcast. Thanks to our producers, Bettencourt and Zikhona Klaas, and of course our editor, Emma O'Connor, and me, your host, Zinhle. This podcast is a product of the Honours in Journalism and Media Studies program at Wits University in Johannesburg. Our theme music was compiled by Niall Higgins and our graphic design was Tshepo Thaela. For more information, please check out our website, witsvuvuzela.com.